Hi, my name is Mark Bernard. I'm a monetary economist. In this video, I want to talk about justice, peace. I want to put it in the context of Russia, Ukraine, and what's currently going on, but more important, a reflection on peace and a reflection on justice. A lot of times I tell my students, just don't be reactive, be reflective. Don't listen to the news, go out into the woods and meditate on an idea. And the idea is that justice is peace, and there can be no peace without justice. Look at the historical facts. 1938, September 30th, Neville Chamberlain, during the Munich Accord, where Germany was given land for peace, Sutherland, and then he waved a piece of paper and said, these are security guarantees, and with this paper, we have peace in our time. September 1st, 1939, Poland was attacked, World War II began. Marshal Foch, after World War I, said, This is not peace, but an armistice for 20 years. And he was precisely correct. The bigger one came later. We don't want the bigger one to come later. Okay? Pilsudski said we must crush the adder in the egg when referring to the H guy in Germany in the 1930s. And he was correct. We can't just leave it here. Okay? So this idea of justice, peace without justice, goes back to the historical traditions of our thinking and our culture. And before I get into that, I really encourage people to read books. And in Friends, Rachel asked Joey if he reads. And Joey said, yes, I read. And Rachel said, books, Joey, books. And that's what I'm talking about. We have a tradition, Aristotle, Plato, and Thomas Aquinas talking about justice being the ultimate good. It's being this harmony. If you go to the doctor and your signs and vitals are all over the place, you're in for a short one. Okay, you may say, okay, I could give you a green check of health, but that's the whole idea behind peace and justice. It's harmony. It's things that are in accord. And the reason it's the ultimate good is because Plato described it, as well as Aristotle and Aquinas. You have liberty, equality, and then justice. You can have too much liberty because you don't want to yell, fire in a crowded moving house. Too much equality because you can't make everybody to the T equal. Justice is the one thing you can't have too much of. And so Pope Paul VI in 1971 said, if you want peace, work for justice. And that is the model that if you guys want to go walking in the woods and meditating and reflecting on something, or like Descartes did, have this sensory deprivation chamber, he crawled into an oven, meditate on justice and what it is. And it's really the synopsis of peace. Certainly Psalms, I think it's Psalms 85:10 said, the kiss of peace is justice. And obviously Mark 8:5, I believe, said, blessed are the peacemakers, they'll be called children of God. We all want to be the peacemakers, but peace without justice does not last. History proves it over and over again. How many times did Russia sign a piece of paper and give security guarantees and they violated it? So I'm hoping that my take on it is that Zelensky understands this. And I know he does. And the economics of it is Trump is waiving something called sanctions relief. He's going to give the money back to Russia as the carrot, the stick, and the bully thing, the blackmail. And it's the carrot, the stick, and everything because, arms are one thing, but this sanctions are the thing that's crushing Russia right now. And if he just wants a quick peace without this justice and have 1 million Ukrainians living in some demilitarized corridor, that's not going to end well. Think of The Cage, Star Trek. Again, I'm going to refer to this episode. Talos 4, when they beamed down the Telosians at the end, were saying to Pike, I didn't think it was possible. I can't believe it. We scanned your libraries and your history. You humans would prefer death over living in a cage. That is the nature of humanity. This freedom, this justice, it's these ideals that are ingrained in us. So you can say, what's going on in this peace accord? Or this unjust peace accord, or this unpeace accord. What's happening is it salesmen selling salesmen? Even Trump referred to Zelensky in a derogatory way as a salesman. But is Zelensky understanding this and working with the U.S. because, he wants to call out Putin. He wants to say, look, I'm for peace. I'm working with Trump. Are you going to work with Trump? Because, the Tsar is a dictator and he does not want peace. He wants decisive victory because that's what his name is. Put his name in lights in the history books. So if he calls him out, Okay, and it says, look, I'm willing to negotiate. Of course, they'd have to reverse some Ukrainian laws that said we can't negotiate with this war criminal. But if they did that, is he selling the salesman? Is he understanding the dynamics of it? And I think he is, that if he says, I'm on board, it's just this guy's not on board, then the net effect is going to be that guy's the bad guy. He's the one that doesn't want to cooperate. And the whole world sees that. Okay, so we've talked about this idea that justice is peace and peace is justice, but really there is no peace without justice in the long term because we've got that experience from World War II. I mean, I can't believe I live in Krakow, Poland, and, we in this very special place. We can't forget this. The Poles don't forget it. They know what happened. Every single time somebody gives you a piece of paper and says security guarantees is broken. Okay, and even after that, the Yalta Conference, et cetera, et cetera. So my take is, salesmen, they're kind of fun. Never date a musician or a salesman. They would sell red lipstick popsicles to a woman with white gloves, sell snowballs to an Eskimo. And, it's kind of like, I think what Zelensky's doing, and he's not a salesman, he's a respectable, intelligent, thinking person. I think Trump is the salesman. Another story. He's giving the porcupine clothes. Porcupine, when I was in sales in terms of selling stuff, stocks, if somebody gives you a tough objection, you throw the porcupine back at them. When they say, does this car come in blue? You say, is blue the color you want? Or are you open to other colors? You porcupine them. So I believe that, analytics aside, everybody can meditate and read the news headlines because, we're all dopamine junkies on the news. But just go into the forest today and meditate on how synonymous peace and justice are and what history and philosophers have told us. Meditate on the idea that maybe Zelensky knows something. Everybody's, oh no, he's going to trade land for peace. This is it. He's caving. Or is he really? Is he just playing a bluff, putting it into the czar's court and watching the czar, not come to the table? And then we're going to be talking. Because right now, it looks like things are not going well for the Russian economy. And I've talked about this. And, I know there's a guy out there, he's pro-Ukrainian. He said, well, where's the evidence? A couple guys. Oh, the ruble, the Russian ruble, the Russian stock market, the numerical data, the sanctions, people inside giving anecdotal evidence. There's tons of evidence. It's collapsing. They can't even support what's going on in the Middle East. Okay? So if we can hold on and hold out for a just peace, a lasting peace, that means inclusion in NATO and really recognizing the territorial integrities. I think everybody, whether it be, the great thinkers of the past, Immanuel Kant wrote about this in 1795, and how this justice really has to be synonymous with the individual happiness of freedom. And Thomas Hobbes, you can look this up as another discussion on justice, but it all goes back to Plato, I think. That justice is the ultimate good, and peace is something that happens because there is a just scenario set up. So that's the meditation. Remember, peace is the outcome of justice, not the other way around. You just can't have peace and hope for justice and gaslight everybody and brainwash them. Peace is the outcome. It's the derivative. It's what happens after. And the justice we're talking about is what people all agreed on in a table, on a contract, Budapest Memorandum, UN, all the charters, international community, collective unconsciousness. And most of all, what in your heart is true, that people want to be free. Like the Talosians said, I couldn't believe this about humanity. I didn't think that it was possible with you humans. In many cases, you prefer death instead of living in a cage. Meditate on that. That's my critique on the peace process. It's really the justice process. My name is Mark Biernot. I'm a monetary economist. Have a great day. Thank you very much.